Welcome, guys. This is exactly how Jim Hardy, real estate agent, got a $3 million seller in 9 days in Palm Springs, California, with his YouTube ads inside our program, Listing Accelerator. Jim, welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you.
Awesome. So can you please start by explaining to us, like, first of all, who is Jim Hardy? Like, how long you've been an agent? How many transactions you do per year? Like, are you solo? Are you part-time? Are you full-time? Did you do the transition recently? Can you just like explain to us, like, briefly, like who you are as an agent?
Absolutely. I've been an agent for a little over 5 years now. 4.5 years of those, I was a part-time agent. I wasn't able to provide the service that I really wanted to provide. I worked for a big, huge company full-time, and I knew going into when I finally when I made the leap into doing real estate fully, is I wanted to go a digital way. I wanted to go in some ways, shape, or form, because I know that's where the trend is. It was obvious to me. So I was in search of something like what Regain Media provides. Absolutely. And when it popped up in my Instagram feed, I was like, oh, I saved it, and I did a little research on it, and I looked them up, things like that. And I was impressed with that, and once that happened, some other ones popped up, but I just didn't feel like, I felt like they were like cookie cutter stuff. Everybody was always doing cookie cutter stuff. And what I love about what's going on with this is that I'm able to brand it to my image, to what I want to do. Right. And I can boost it immensely. So, over my 4 years, I've done like maybe 12 transactions. It was because I was, part-time. And then I started doing transaction coordinating service with my wife, because she got certified as a TC, and then she went and got her license. So really, I'm a single agent, but once I get somebody in escrow, she takes over with the paperwork, and just make sure that it just takes it home. And, and that way I can focus on service to the clients. And it's, I love doing this. It's fun. I absolutely love doing this, and creating value for people so that people can get to know me better. Especially it feels like I'm like a new agent busting out, but I've laid the groundwork prior to this, like even prior to, I don't know, Mikael can attest to this, I had scripts already. I had things that I wanted to do and in place. And I'm like, hey, what about this? I kind of threw it out of my, whatever. And he's like, whoa, slow down, do these things. Let's get this thing and dial it in. And I appreciated that. I needed somebody to give me some brevity. So it's a little bit about me.
Nice intro. So basically you said, you found out about us on Instagram, right? I think you saw like one of our ads on Instagram, right?
I did. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I remember like we got on a call, we looked at like where you were, like where you're trying to go, and we mapped out like a strategy to get there. And I think like you were also like talking to other companies, like you mentioned. Curious to know, like, what got you to like decide to move forward with us, instead of like, you said like the cookie cutter thing, but like, how did you knew we were not like another cookie cutter company? And was that the only factor?
That wasn't the only factor. It was you, Michael. It really was. When we had our video meeting about it, you had some scripted things in there, and I understood that. I understood what you were doing, because a lot of people do that. But when I prodded you about, the process of making the Google ads, the Google YouTube ads, and what have you, and going from there, and how you're going to help me do that, I felt like that was a huge factor for me. Absolutely. So knowing that, you have modules to put us through, and you go fast, which is fine, because you can pause it and do the step and then continue. But, at the same time, to get the ad going, it was asking like, what do you need from me? And you were able to do that. But I chose you because you just, I just got a good sense. I feel like I have a good sense of people, and you weren't too big yet. And I like people that aren't too big yet, because, you can grow with them. And, I see you as a young guy that is really making a name for himself. And I love being a part of that growth as well. And I had the means to do this. And, you're not killing us on the fee to start, right? Knowing that we have all these other little fees that just sort of pop up on us, and you're just making sure that you're getting your clients and you're providing value. And then that's what I liked about working with you. So yeah, there was part of his fee, but really it was really about you.
Nice. Got it. Appreciate that. So when you joined the program, came on the coaching call, like digested the content, the modules, and we talked together on like actually executing the strategy. Or is there something that like you immediately recognized that you needed to fix or implement in your business?
Yeah. Just, the focus, like the real focus on and be more succinct in the video. That made a big difference. And, that's why I ended up changing my ad a little bit, so I wasn't repeating myself so much. Because a while ago I paid for like a ClickFunnels sales copy. It was, you pay a one-time fee and they give you this access to it. And it's an outstanding tool to help build something based on what you're looking to do, right? And using Go High Level that you provide, I was familiar with it. I tested it even on my own because I'm looking at automating and stuff. Here's the dream, guys. This is all I want to do. I want to wake up in the morning, look at my calendar, and okay, I got appointments. That's all I really wanted to be able to do. But I needed to do the work so that happened. So like end goal is I wake up, I look up, and that's what I wanted to do. And one day that happened, and I was like, oh, it's starting to come true, right? Yeah. And the change I had to make was just being able to drill down, because you got to start with the big picture, and then now these are the steps that I got to take to get to there, and go from there. And I was impressed with it. You have the ability to create, like, okay, hang on, we're going to do this, maybe not do that kind of thing, and getting that insight. Because sometimes and I've mentioned this, I'm like, I'll push somebody until they're like, forget it, I don't want to work with you. And I'm hyper aware of that. So sometimes I need to be able to pull back and just like, okay, what's the best way to kind of approach them? And those are kind of the changes I have to make sure that I'm not too pushy and pushing people away.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I think it's just like super creative, right? Like I have this as well, where like I have a bunch of ideas. I want to do this, and that, because I know like it'll help you, with the next steps. But like, it's something I have to work on as well myself. Like I need to like step back and be like, okay, like there's 20 different things I could do. And it's funny, I'm reading the book, The One Thing, by Gary Keller. I don't know if you read it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like, and I'm reading it right now, but you have to focus on like one specific thing that's like the bottleneck, right? I call this like the bottleneck. What is it? Like, if you just focus on this one thing, everything else will just unlock. So that's why like, I think we just need to focus on like the first big roadblock. Once that's tackled, then on to the next one. Because like, otherwise we just found ourselves like working on like 20 different projects. So we're spending our time. Yeah, exactly. Turning your wheels, and then you're spending your time, energy, money, and focus on like different things, but they're not going anywhere. Whereas if you focus on just one thing, you can go like way further, Right. Right. So
first things first.
Yeah. So can you talk a bit about like the process of how we actually got that seller? First of all, like you launched the campaign, 9 days later, you got like I think it was a phone appointment with that seller. That's worth like $3 million in Palm Springs. Beautiful, beautiful house. Honestly, I've never seen a house like that beautiful. And the funny thing is like they started sending pictures as well, which is like really uncommon. So can you walk to us, like walk through like the process of like how that happened from A to Z?
Okay. I remember it specifically because it was like my first time going into a movie theater when my phone blew up, and I'm like, I'm having to mute my phone, and I'm in the movie and I see this. I can't remember. But and I just, the automated text follow-up, that kind of prompted, and the main, I think it was the main question of like, have you done anything to for value? Have you done anything? So I can get a sense of your property. That's the gist of it, right? Yeah. And
like, have you done anything like, to like upgrade your house?
And he's like, oh yeah, here, boom, 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 boom. He sends me all these Dropbox pictures into the text. I'm like, I showed my wife. I'm like going, holy cow, this house is beautiful, And then we, and I set through the texting is when I set the appointment. It was through the hands-on whatever. He didn't automatically do it. He said, when I talked to him, I asked him about the lead. I'm like, what'd you think of the ad? Was it, too much, too pushy? Anything to say about it? And he's like, no, it was brilliant. It got me to click. It was great. I'm like, awesome, cool. That raised my confidence a little bit better that, something worked. Right. But, and then after that, We actually were able to make the call through Twilio, and he was able to, and as I was able to record it. And what I loved about recording it is that I was able to go back and kind of make notes of things that I probably missed when you just hear it, and it's not like I'm going to use it against the guy for anything, but it was just to be able to keep track of everything that he said, so that when I contact him with more, he's like, hey, I might reference something that he said before, and then he's like, well, man, this guy was paying attention, and you know that. So the tools that are provided are great. Love that.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, that makes you stand out. Like just that alone, the fact that you can like go back, listen to the call recording, take some notes, then in his mind, he's probably like, oh, wow, he's not just another agent, he actually cares. And then when you can demonstrate that before you even meet them in person, then you have like, 2 steps ahead of like all the other agents that are cold calling that person. You know what I mean?
Right. The goal is like, if they call, he's like, I'm ready to work with somebody. That's what I want him to tell them.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
I'm ready to work with somebody.
And then we're also like putting, processes in place to like warm up the leads, right? Giving them value, educating them, sending them information about how they can like, what they can do on their house before selling it to like obviously get maximum value. And then warming them up through videos. And also I remember like, you said, one thing that's important for you is like going digital, right? Can you touch on this and like how that is like why first of all, like the decision of like going digital? Because obviously a lot of people like know they should be on social media, but like, can you talk about like the effects of it, the benefits, and like how we're using it to like not only generate leads, but also nurture them?
Okay. So, social media, all the digital video stuff like that needs to provide a value that the end user is going to make them want to save it. If it's anything other than that, then it's just lip service. There's a lot of agents out there, and I don't want to poo-poo them or whatever, that just sit there and they just post their listings, or they just post just videos of homes, and that's great and all, but if you're not providing a value when you do that, why would they ever want to save it? Why would they ever want to follow you? Why would they ever want to contact you? Right? That kind of thing. Raise questions, create conversations, and give them solutions to problems that are happening today, right? Things that are going on right now. Because it should, your Instagram feed, your YouTube videos, all should be different a year ago from what you're doing now, because you should be adjusting to what the market is, which is what we always do anyway. So one of the things that I like to do is, my goal is to push everybody in there now. Like if anybody's like, right now we have like a geotag, right? That's 25 miles away from my current location. And I'm only getting a certain percentage of those people technically that are actually clicking on my video, right? Of some sort, just a small percentage of some sort. However, how do I get more of those people on there so that they see me more often and bring them on there, because they may be an analog person of some sort, to a certain degree. One of the things I love to do is I take a QR code and I send it out to all of them. That's going to the landing page. That gets focused people off, online on there. And then once I did like, what's the value of your home? Find out how many buyers are looking for your house. Right. And that was it. That was in the QR code. That was it. And, I shot it out to them, and I don't know, maybe it was like about 5,000 homes that I did that. I did it every door direct, which is a lot cheaper. And, I went from like getting like 1 or 2 retargeting, to 300 or 400 a day, 1 or 2 a day to 300 or 400 a day. Nice. And I'm retargeting now. So, talk about creating it, so, I didn't do that to get a phone call. Right. I didn't do that to do anything other than just get in front of them, getting top of mind. Yep. And then now I've got a tag on them. I got a tag on their devices. Not many people clear their caches. Let's be honest. Most people will buy a new device before they clear a damn cache. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And, now I'm following them around like I'm an Amazon product.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But when I follow them around, I want to make sure it's on purpose. It's with value. It's creating an offer or something like that. right? That kind of thing. Give me a call, or, click here and you can, and I'll give you something else for free. Something like that, right? And the goal is to get them engaged with me and to remember me. I mean, I remember a specific conversation I had with one of my phone calls. It was like a week later, after, because they made the appointment like a week later, and she's like, remind me, what's your name again? I'm like, well, it's Jim Hardy with Valiant Luck. She's like, oh, I've seen you. That's what I want to see. Right. I'm like, oh, great. Yeah. I'm thinking to myself that it worked. Yeah. Right. Now I'm becoming more like a celebrity of the area for the most part. So that's one of the things that, I use YouTube not to create a bunch of subscribers, but to get people to like learn more about me so that they and garner trust. And once I garner their trust, when I do finally reach out to them and go, hey, this is Jim Hardy with Brilliant Lux, they're like, oh, I've seen you. Perfect. That's awesome. That's what I want, and it's a lot cheaper than to, brand yourself on a commercial, like on a TV commercial, a lot cheaper than doing a billboard, that kind of thing. I mean, you may get 100,000 people to see those billboards, but they're not going to process it, right? That kind of thing. The goal here is to get them to process, the information that I'm giving them, providing a solution to their problems today.
Exactly. And like, how can you track like the progression of like the billboard ads, right? Like how you've gone from like 2 to 3 on your retargeting audience to like 300 or 400 per day. You can't really see that evolution, or like, is that really working? Is that not working? Right. Which is like one thing I love as well about like YouTube ads and just digital marketing in general. You can track everything, right?
Right.
So yeah, that's awesome. And I remember like you coming on one of the calls as well in our program and like saying, hey, like, I got like, I don't know who in my office, like saying, hey, like I'm seeing you everywhere now on YouTube. Yeah. So you're creating that effect of like, being omnipresent, right? Like everybody starts to see you.
I told her I'm going to follow her around everywhere from now. Yeah. She's like, yes, you are.
Exactly. And the great thing about retargeting is that it's super cheap, right? Like for $1 or $2 per day, like you can retarget your whole audience, and be like everywhere, top of mind,
Right.
That way, the more they see you, the more they recognize you. And then after that, once you call them, like they have less of a, their guard is like down, you know what I mean? They don't have their guard up as much.
Well, the end goal is to create trust, right? So that's what we're trying to do, is create trust. A lot of people used to do that, big brands used to do that with TV ads all the time. They have to they throw a boatload of money to a media company, and then they pay a bunch of money for a production of some sort. And now we're just able to go smaller scale and still accomplish the same thing and be more specific, because real estate agents are really a hyper local service, right? They focus, it's like me coming up to where you are and I'm trying to sell houses up there. I'm like, I don't know the market very well. I get a general sense of it, but I don't know the market up there where, sure, offer this when they might be offered, $30,000 more than what they should.
Sure.
Things like that, or even less. And then I'm not getting anything. So it's real estate agents are super local, and keep it super local. Don't be greedy, just be super local and provide value.
Yeah, exactly. So just want to like go over like a few numbers basically with your YouTube ad campaign. So I think like we spent around like what $1,000 on YouTube ads so far. We got like 17 leads, seller leads, about like 6 phone appointments with qualified sellers that they actually like booked a time, or you were able to like get them on a call at a specific day and time. They were expecting your call. We have reminders being sent out to them, so they make sure that, we make sure they actually pick up, and we increase like the show up rate. And then you went on like 1 physical listing appointment in person. And then obviously you're in communication with like one beautiful $3 million property that should be worth, close to like $60,000 in commission if it actually ends up or pan out in the future. And then I think you mentioned one stat that's really important is like recently, your recent leads, you're able to get 40% of them on an appointment, right?
Correct. Yeah. Like I may get like an opt-in of like like 4 or 5, like 5 or 6%, but 40% of those actually make an appointment.
Yeah.
So, the everything needs to be congruent, right? So that's the gist of it. So, if I cast a net of like 100,000 people in a month, right, and I'm able to narrow that net down to people that are interested, and get 7 or 8 phone appointments, that's pretty darn good at the budget you're paying, right, for $1,000.
Yeah.
100,000 views or 100,000 impressions, narrow it down to, I forget what the number is, where you have actual clicks of like about 1%. So that's 1,000 that actually, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little under 1,000 that actually click on the ad. And then furthermore, they make it, but a 40% of those, or whatever will actually make, you just sort of just narrow it down. That's what a funnel does, right? Does that whole thing, so, and then the retargeting is to just keep bringing them back, keep giving them value, because sometimes people need, convincing, right?
Yeah.
Like, who's this guy? I've seen him before.
Skeptical. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's, why, he looks young. He doesn't know anything, that kind of stuff. And, and you just dispel it.
Yeah.
You just dispel it with value and knowledge and persistence, and try not to over persist. Right. And it's going to happen. You're building that pipeline. Like right now, the focus is building the pipeline. I mean, I'm still considered kind of new, really. Let's be honest. I'm a little over 5 years into this, and I really didn't start until like July of just being able to do this. But I've been building before this. I've been working on scripts and things like that before this, and I just needed some help with that, and you were able to help with that immensely, because who knows about Google ads, and somebody that works with the funnels, so that you can build it the right way so that it'll deliver. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that's super important. Like, one thing as well, like if we do the math, like real quick, like $1,000 invested in ads, we divide that by like 6 appointments over the phone. It's basically approximately like $160-ish per qualified appointment with a seller. That's coming from like a simple, predictable, scalable, and automated system, right? Like you said, your goal was like to wake up to like automated appointments where like you have literally nothing to do except like just pick up the phone and call them at a specific day and time. That way your business is more streamlined, right? And whenever it's streamlined, you can actually like scale it more. I mean, it's also more enjoyable, right? Because it gives you like more time back. So yeah, Jim, I'd be curious to like know, what would you say to like someone who's like on the fence about joining our program?
Look, I can take that $1,000 and that same $1,000 and do postcards, right? Just postcards, and my reach is going to be limited. Let's be honest, because I can only send so many postcards. What happens to a lot of those postcards nowadays? They just end up kind of in the recycle bin or something like that, kind of thing. You can make them big and beautiful. You can try to have big catching things. You can make the ink flash if you want, whatever you want to do, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to actually, you have to, the goal is going to be an expense of $1,000 a month with no real expected rate of return right away. It's a long-term deal. Now, or I could take that $1,000, I could put it in a digital program and try to funnel everybody in and bring them in. It's a no-brainer for me, right? I look at like, I look at how many impressions I get, I look at the numbers that means something, and being able to track it and have some certainty. And you said at scale, right? Because my goal is I get so busy that I have to bring on another agent to help me. I have to build a team. That's my goal, right? And because I want to build it like that, and then eventually I'd like to, just have a team, and then just have, offer really fair splits. It's not going to feel like I'm just taking all of their money, even though I've got this in place, that kind of thing, so that I can, so then I can kind of step away and maybe help coach and train and other agents and things like that. But because I love coaching and training. I absolutely love it. I coached wrestling for many years before I did any of this stuff, and I wrestled myself, and I just loved I love building young individuals into powerful, forward-thinking, positive people. Right. That's what I love doing. And I would love to continue to do that. But this allows me to kind of do it myself, and I'll take on a listing or two and then be able to, go from there. So, I mean, scaling is just really, the ability to scale is great because, imagine how I'm thinking way ahead here, imagine, I'm able to put in $2,000-$3,000 a month in a scale like this and a good ad of some sort. And it just funnels in just great leads that I help nurture. And then if it's so many, then I will need to have a team to help me do that, and still provide that value. It's a system that really, it's not invasive, right? Because it's still an ad of some sort. People can still ignore you. They can still clear your cash, but it's, it's the ability to grow and scale is so prevalent in the process. You can't scale you can scale postcards, right? But the problem with scaling, there's a lot, the return on it, and there's a lot of question marks in the process of that, which is I'm a little bit more of a person that likes to have some certainty in place.
Yep, totally. So Jim, can you talk to us about to finalize the interview, what are the next steps for you? You talked about, obviously, honing in the ads, optimizing everything in your funnel to eventually scale that and, have potentially a team. Can you walk us through the next steps in your vision?
Yeah. Well, the midterms came up and, there's some painful things that passed, namely short-term vacation rentals, which is a big, huge thing in my market out here. Because I'm in the Coachella Valley, short-term vacation rentals for the festivals, like the Coachella Valley Music Festival and Stagecoach, and all sorts of. It's a city of festivals in India. It was not stones throw from me. There's a lot of homeowners that were fed up with short-term vacation rentals that were not hosted by, they wouldn't have the people that own the place on site, right? They would just buy it and just sort of just rent it. And there's some nuisances and things like that. And I need to reach out to those short-term vacation rentals and provide solutions, right? That kind of thing. If it's selling, I want to be able to offer to them. So that's something that I think I posted in school about it, to, positing how to address that. But again, I need to make a video of some sort, script something that really addresses that issue, and put it in, and even put it in, in my nurturing playlist that I have put together in YouTube, so that and probably put it in front, because the most current stuff will be in front, and people can kind of get to know me better. So, I may send out a postcard out to them that sends them to the YouTube playlist, hey, learn more about me, things like that. And what does that do? It puts a tag on there, and then I follow them around with all the other things that I do, right? Still pulls them in. So right now I have to continue to scale and build on it. It's I'm flailing a little bit because I don't have many listings, but I do have 4 or 5 buyers from previous that I still work with, right? That, they're cash buyers and they're ready to buy, and some, I've been able to create a trust with them. So part of it is, I still work with buyers because, I may end up closing only buyers this year, the rest of this year, because it's so close to the end of the year. But I'm nurturing those sellers for when it's time, because there's some people think that there's going to be this huge crash, and I'm not seeing that. But if there is, I'm going to come up with a solution for them, and I'm going to advertise it in some way to get people to want to come with me and get them to want to work with me. I want them to go, I want to work with Jim Hardy because he knows my pain points and has provided solutions for that. And that's really what I try to do, is just provide solutions, because that's what we need to do, is provide solutions and serve the clients, because we're all grateful for them, aren't we? Because they make it so that we can have a life like this.
Awesome. Yeah. Good next steps. Like you said, it's just a matter of adapting to the market, finding their pain points, where they are now, where they want to go, and then providing value to help them reach that goal. right?
That's right.
From point A to point B. So
That's right.
awesome. Appreciate you taking the time for the interview, Jim. And then for you guys watching the videos, we'll see you on the next one.